Today, I want to talk about something that is so often overlooked, yet it holds the power to completely transform your life. I'm talking about mindset. We hear the term tossed around a lot, but what does it truly mean to change your mindset? More importantly, how can changing your mindset actually change your life? Let's start by understanding that your mindset is the lens through which you see the world. It shapes your thoughts, beliefs, and ultimately your actions. And here's the catch: the way you think directly impacts what you experience. Your mindset can either empower you or limit you, depending on how you choose to shape it. Now, I want to challenge you to think about the narratives you've been carrying with you. Those quiet voices in your head that whispered out fear or inadequacy, where did they come from? And more importantly, why are they still there? These narratives don't define you unless you let them. They don't have power over you unless you give them power. Think about the last time you faced a challenge. Did you approach it with a mindset of resilience and curiosity, or did you shrink back thinking you weren't enough? The way you respond in those moments when life throws its toughest punches is shaped by your mindset. But here's the good news: you are not stuck with the mindset you have today. It can be reworked, rewired, and reframed. You have the power to choose a new story, to embrace a new way of thinking, and in doing so, completely alter the course of your life. Change is uncomfortable, but so is staying stuck. What's more painful? Remaining in a mindset that holds you back, or stepping into the unknown with the possibility of transformation? Today, I want to challenge you to take a hard look at your current mindset. Ask yourself, is this serving me or is it limiting me? Because once you understand that your life's potential is only as expansive as the mindset you cultivate, that's when true change begins. Changing your mindset won't be easy. It takes commitment, it takes vulnerability. But most of all, it takes courage, the courage to believe that you are worth the effort it takes to change. When you begin to see life from a perspective of possibility instead of limitation, of growth instead of stagnation, you'll realize just how much you've been holding yourself back. Your mindset is more than just a collection of thoughts. It's the filter through which you interpret everything that happens in your life. Imagine you're wearing a pair of glasses and the lenses represent your mindset. If those lenses are clear, you see the world with clarity, with a sense of opportunity and hope. But if the lenses are cloudy, distorted by fear, doubt, or negative beliefs, everything around you appears dim, even when the reality is much brighter. So how does mindset actually shape our reality? It all starts with perception. What we perceive influences how we feel, how we react, and ultimately what we do. For example, two people might face the same difficult situation, perhaps a career setback or a personal challenge, but they'll respond differently based on their mindset. One person with a growth-oriented mindset will see the setback as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to come back stronger. They'll believe that failure is not final, and that adversity is simply part of the journey. The other person with a fixed mindset may see the same situation as evidence that they're not good enough, that they'll never succeed, and they may give up or retreat. The difference between these two individuals lies not in the circumstances, but in their mindset. Their thoughts and beliefs shape their interpretation of reality. The first person might say, "This is hard, but I'll find a way through." While the second might say, "This is too hard, I'm not cut out for this." In essence, their mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that you're capable of growth, you will take actions that lead to growth. If you believe you're doomed to fail, your actions or lack thereof will reinforce that belief. This is why mindset is so powerful. It literally creates the framework for how we experience life. Whether you see yourself as a victim of your circumstances or as the author of your own story depends entirely on your mindset. In fact, research shows that people with a positive, growth-oriented mindset are more likely to achieve their goals, face challenges with resilience, and maintain healthier relationships. Why? Because they believe that they can. They believe that change is possible. They believe that they are in control of their own reality. Think about it. How many times have you seen people with the same skills, the same opportunities, or even the same upbringing achieve vastly different outcomes in life? It's not always about talent, luck, or external factors. Often, the real differentiator is mindset. The way you think determines how you approach life, whether you view challenges as threats or as opportunities, whether you see success as attainable or something out of reach. But here's the key: your mindset isn't fixed. Just because you've lived your life seeing the world through a certain lens doesn't mean you're stuck with that perspective forever. Mindset is malleable, and you have the ability to reshape it. You can choose to see setbacks as stepping stones instead of roadblocks. You can train your mind to focus on solutions rather than problems. And when you make these mental shifts, your reality shifts too. One of the most powerful examples of mindset shaping reality is in the realm of self-talk, the internal dialogue we all have running in our minds. If your self-talk is negative, filled with phrases like "I can't," "I'm not enough," or "this will never work," then that becomes your truth. Those words manifest into your actions, or in many cases, your inaction. But if you train your mind to think, "I can figure this out, I am worthy," or "there's a way forward," you begin to align your actions with those beliefs, and your reality begins to reflect that. Changing your mindset doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing how you respond to life's inevitable challenges. It's about recognizing that while you can't always control what happens, you can always control how you think about it, and that choice shapes your reality more than any external event ever could. So when we say mindset shapes reality, we're talking about the profound truth that the way you think creates the world you live in. Your mind can either be a prison that traps you in limitation, or it can be a garden where possibilities bloom. The choice is yours, and the power is within you. We all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and where our lives are headed. These stories are often shaped by our past experiences, the words of others, and the beliefs we've internalized over time. Some of these stories are empowering, but many of them are limiting. And they hold us back from realizing our full potential. Letting go of limiting narratives is one of the most liberating and transformative things you can do for yourself, because it frees you to live a life not dictated by fear, self-doubt, or insecurity, but by possibility. What do we mean by limiting narratives? They are the negative scripts and beliefs we cling to, often unconsciously, that tell us what we cannot do, what we don't deserve, or why we'll never succeed. These narratives might sound like, "I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes to be successful. People like me don't get those kinds of opportunities. I failed before, so I'll probably fail again. I'm too old, too young, too different to make a change." These stories often begin early in life. Perhaps a teacher told you that you weren't smart enough, or maybe you grew up in an environment where taking risks or pursuing big dreams wasn't encouraged. Over time, these messages become ingrained in your psyche, and without even realizing it, you start living your life according to these limiting beliefs. You stop going after certain opportunities, you avoid taking risks, and you settle for less than what you're truly capable of, all because these narratives have convinced you that you're not worthy or capable of more. But here's the truth: these narratives don't define you unless you let them. They only have power if you continue to believe them. The amazing thing about narratives is that they can be rewritten. You have the ability to challenge and change the stories you tell yourself. And when you do, you open up new possibilities for your life. The first step in letting go of limiting narratives is recognizing them for what they are: stories, not facts. A limiting belief is just a thought you've had over and over again until it became a belief. But just because you've thought something repeatedly doesn't make it true. For example, if you've told yourself for years that you're not good with numbers, that doesn't mean you're incapable of learning math or managing your finances. It just means that somewhere along the way, you accepted a narrative that limited your potential in this area. Once you've identified these limiting narratives, the next step is to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Where did this belief come from? Is there evidence to the contrary? You may find that many of the stories you've been living by are based on outdated experiences, the opinions of others, or fear-based thinking. When you start to question these beliefs, they begin to lose their hold on you. For example, let's say you've always believed that you're not good enough to start your own business. Maybe you've had a couple of setbacks or someone close to you doubted your abilities, and you internalize that as your truth. But what happens when you challenge that belief? You start to see that while you may have failed in the past, that doesn't mean you'll fail in the future. Letting go of limiting narratives isn't just about rejecting negative thoughts, it's about replacing them with empowering ones. It's not enough to simply say, I'm no longer going to believe that I'm not good enough. You have to actively cultivate new, positive narratives that reflect your potential and your worth. This process takes time, and it requires a lot of self-awareness and intention. Limiting narratives don't disappear overnight. They're deeply ingrained, often built over years or even decades. But with consistent effort, you can unlearn them. Every time you catch yourself falling into an old pattern of thinking like doubting your abilities or assuming the worst, pause, acknowledge it, and then choose a different thought. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful tools for transformation. Another important aspect of letting go of limiting narratives is learning to separate your self-worth from external validation. Many of our limiting beliefs are rooted in the fear of how others perceive us. We're afraid of being judged, rejected, or not measuring up to societal expectations. But when you base your self-worth on the approval of others, you give away your power. You allow external forces to dictate your sense of value and worthiness. Letting go of limiting narratives means reclaiming that power and recognizing that your worth is inherent. It doesn't depend on your achievements, your mistakes, or what others think of you. Letting go of these limiting beliefs isn't just about personal achievement, it's about freedom. It's about freeing yourself from the mental chains that have kept you small, that have made you shrink back when you should have stepped forward. When you let go of limiting narratives, you give yourself permission to dream bigger, to take risks, and to pursue the life you truly want. You stop playing small and start living with a sense of possibility. You open yourself up to new experiences, new challenges, and new levels of success. So ask yourself what limiting narratives are holding you back. What stories have you been telling yourself that no longer serve you? And more importantly, what new story do you want to start telling yourself today? Because when you let go of those old limiting beliefs, you create space for something new, something empowering, something transformative. Change your narrative, and you change your life. Resilience and curiosity are two of the most powerful tools you can cultivate to navigate life's challenges and uncertainties. These qualities, when nurtured, give you the ability to not only endure hardship, but also grow from it, transforming setbacks into opportunities for learning and growth. Resilience is the capacity to bounce back from adversity, to recover from setbacks with a sense of determination and purpose. It doesn't mean that you don't feel the impact of challenges or that you're unaffected by pain or disappointment. Rather, resilience is about how you respond to those difficulties. It's the mindset that says, this won't defeat me, I may fall, but I will rise again. Resilience isn't a trait that some people are born with and others aren't. It's a skill that can be developed over time through practice and intentional effort. One of the key aspects of resilience is learning to manage your emotional responses. When faced with difficulties, it's easy to become overwhelmed by feelings of frustration, sadness, or even hopelessness. These emotions are natural, but how you handle them is what determines your level of resilience. People who are resilient don't ignore their emotions or suppress them. Instead, they process their feelings in healthy ways, whether through reflection, talking to someone they trust, or engaging in activities that help them regain their sense of balance. They allow themselves to feel the weight of their challenges, but don't let those challenges define their next steps. Resilience also involves maintaining perspective. In the midst of a difficult situation, it's easy to focus solely on the problem at hand and lose sight of the bigger picture. But resilient individuals have the ability to step back, even in moments of stress, and remind themselves that this moment is just one chapter in a much larger story. They recognize that no single setback defines their entire life and that adversity is temporary. This broader perspective helps them remain grounded and hopeful, even when things feel overwhelming. Another critical element of resilience is adaptability. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and it rarely goes according to plan. Those who are resilient understand this and are able to adjust their approach when necessary. Instead of rigidly clinging to a specific outcome, they remain flexible and open to change. They don't see change as something to be feared, but rather as a natural part of life's journey. This adaptability allows them to pivot when needed, finding new paths and solutions, even when the original plan doesn't work out. Curiosity, on the other hand, is the driving force behind exploration and growth. It's the desire to understand, to learn, and to discover new possibilities. When you cultivate curiosity, you approach life with an open mind, eager to ask questions and seek out answers. You're not content to accept things at face value or to stay within the confines of what's familiar and comfortable. Instead, you actively pursue knowledge, insight, and personal development. Curiosity leads to resilience because it encourages you to view challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for learning. When you're curious, you don't shy away from problems, you lean into them. You ask, what can I learn from this? How can this experience help me grow? This shift in perspective allows you to approach adversity with a sense of wonder and possibility rather than fear or avoidance. It transforms setbacks into stepping stones, helping you to navigate difficulties with a spirit of exploration. Curiosity also fuels innovation and creativity. When you're curious, you're constantly seeking new ways of doing things, new approaches to solving problems, and new perspectives on old challenges. This makes you more resourceful and adaptable in the face of obstacles. Instead of getting stuck in a fixed mindset where you believe there's only one way to achieve your goals, curiosity opens up a world of alternatives. It keeps you flexible, helping you to find creative solutions to even the most complex problems. Both resilience and curiosity are deeply interconnected. Resilience gives you the strength to endure challenges, while curiosity gives you the motivation to seek out new ways to overcome them. Together, these qualities enable you to face life's uncertainties with confidence and grace. Growth and comfort do not coexist. To grow, whether personally, professionally, emotionally, or intellectually, requires a willingness to step outside the boundaries of what feels familiar and comfortable. Embracing discomfort is about recognizing that true transformation occurs not in moments of ease, but in moments of challenge and uncertainty. It's in those uncomfortable spaces where you push your limits, test your resilience, and discover strengths you didn't know you had. Comfort often gets a bad reputation. Culturally, we are conditioned to seek comfort, security, and predictability. We're taught that success means achieving a state of stability, where everything is going smoothly, and there are no disruptions or struggles. But that's not where real growth happens. Growth is inherently uncomfortable because it requires you to confront new experiences, push through resistance, and face your fears. When you're growing, you're stretching beyond your current capabilities and venturing into uncharted territory, and that can feel unsettling. Think about any significant achievement in your life, learning a new skill, taking on a leadership role, making a major life change, or pursuing a passion. Chances are it involved moments of doubt, fear, and discomfort. Whether it was the fear of failure, the stress of uncertainty, or the struggle to master something unfamiliar, discomfort was likely part of the process. But those moments were also pivotal in your growth. They forced you to dig deeper, to find resources within yourself that you might not have accessed otherwise. Discomfort is a sign that you're pushing yourself beyond your current limits, and that's exactly where you need to be if you want to grow. When you stay within your comfort zone, you may feel safe, but you're also stagnant. You're not challenging yourself and you're not evolving. On the other hand, when you willingly embrace discomfort, you open yourself up to new possibilities. You give yourself the opportunity to expand your horizons, acquire new skills, and build the resilience necessary to handle future challenges. One of the reasons we resist discomfort is because it triggers fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. These fears can be paralyzing if left unchecked, causing us to retreat back into the safety of what we already know. But here's the truth: discomfort doesn't last forever. It's temporary, and it often dissipates once you step fully into the experience. The more you expose yourself to uncomfortable situations, the more you realize that you can handle them. You begin to build a tolerance for discomfort. And with that comes a newfound confidence in your ability to navigate uncertainty. This is especially true when it comes to personal growth. Embracing discomfort means being willing to confront the aspects of yourself that you'd rather avoid: your insecurities, your fears, your past mistakes. It means engaging in difficult conversations, acknowledging your flaws, and taking responsibility for your own growth. This kind of inner work is uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly rewarding. The more you're willing to face the discomfort of self-reflection, the more you'll grow in self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and inner strength. In professional settings, embracing discomfort can mean taking on roles that challenge your current skill set, tackling projects that stretch you beyond your expertise, or stepping into leadership positions that force you to navigate new dynamics. It can feel daunting to take on something you're not entirely sure you can succeed at, but that's where the most significant growth occurs. Every time you rise to the challenge, you not only expand your capabilities, but you also shift your mindset. You start to see yourself as someone who can handle complexity, uncertainty, and pressure, which in turn builds your confidence for future endeavors. Discomfort is also a crucial part of creativity and innovation. New ideas, groundbreaking projects, and transformative solutions don't come from staying within the lines of what's already been done. They come from the willingness to experiment, take risks, and venture into unknown territory. That's where innovation happens, when you're willing to embrace the discomfort of uncertainty and trust that something valuable will emerge from the process. This kind of discomfort can feel intimidating, especially when the outcome is unclear, but it's a necessary part of creating something new and meaningful. Another important aspect of embracing discomfort is understanding that it often signals growth and progress. When you're working toward a goal, the journey can feel challenging, exhausting, and at times overwhelming. You might even question whether you're on the right path. But discomfort is often an indication that you're exactly where you need to be. It's a sign that you're doing the hard work of growth and transformation. The discomfort is a natural byproduct of change, and instead of resisting it, you can choose to welcome it as part of the process. Embracing discomfort also teaches you resilience. Each time you push through an uncomfortable situation, you build your capacity to handle future challenges. Over time, discomfort becomes less of a roadblock and more of a familiar companion on your journey. You start to see it not as something to fear, but as a signpost that you're on the path to growth. You become more resilient, more adaptable, and more willing to take on challenges that once seemed too daunting. In relationships, embracing discomfort can mean being vulnerable, opening up to others, or addressing difficult issues head on. It's easy to avoid uncomfortable conversations or to keep walls up to protect yourself from potential hurt. But true connection and growth in relationships come from being willing to embrace those moments of discomfort. Whether it's expressing your true feelings, setting boundaries, or working through conflict, these uncomfortable moments are often what deepen your relationships and create lasting bonds. On a broader level, embracing discomfort can lead to a greater sense of fulfillment and purpose. When you push yourself to do things that challenge you, whether personally or professionally, you gain a sense of accomplishment and pride that you wouldn't experience if you stayed in your comfort zone. You start to see yourself as someone who can take on challenges and grow from them, and that shifts your entire outlook on life. You become more open to new experiences, more willing to take risks, and more resilient in the face of adversity. Challenging your current mindset is one of the most transformative actions you can take in your journey toward personal growth and self-discovery. Your mindset, how you perceive the world, interpret experiences, and make decisions shapes every aspect of your life. It influences your beliefs, actions, and outcomes. But while your mindset can be a source of strength and clarity, it can also act as a barrier, keeping you stuck in limiting patterns, outdated beliefs, and unproductive habits. To challenge your mindset means to actively question the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world around you. It's about recognizing that your current way of thinking may not be serving you in the best way possible and being willing to disrupt those ingrained beliefs that have kept you operating within a certain framework. This process isn't always easy. Our mindsets are deeply embedded and often feel like the truth, but it's necessary if you want to unlock new levels of potential and possibility. One of the most common obstacles to growth is a fixed mindset, the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents are static, predetermined, and unchangeable. When you operate from a fixed mindset, you avoid challenges because you fear failure. You give up easily when faced with obstacles, and you see effort as fruitless. You might think that you've already reached your limits or that your past experiences define what's possible for your future. This mindset can keep you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, insecurity, and missed opportunities. Challenging a fixed mindset begins with recognizing that growth is always possible, that your abilities are not set in stone, and that you have the capacity to evolve. This shift toward a growth mindset, the belief that with effort, persistence, and learning, you can develop new skills and improve, is a powerful reframe that can open doors you never imagined possible. When you challenge yourself to adopt a growth mindset, you begin to see challenges as opportunities for learning rather than threats to your competence. You become more willing to take risks, embrace failure as part of the process, and persevere through difficulty because you know that growth happens outside of comfort. But challenging your mindset isn't just about changing how you view your own abilities. It's also about interrogating the beliefs you hold about the world around you. We all carry subconscious biases, assumptions, and beliefs that shape how we interact with others and navigate life's complexities. These beliefs often go unexamined because they feel so ingrained in our identity and worldview. However, when you take the time to question these assumptions, you open yourself up to new perspectives and possibilities. For instance, if you've always believed that success is only achievable by following a certain path, whether that's through traditional education, climbing the corporate ladder, or sticking to a predefined career track, you might be limiting yourself from exploring alternative routes that could be more aligned with your passions and strengths. Challenging this belief could mean exploring unconventional paths to success, taking risks that feel unfamiliar, or redefining what success looks like for you on your terms. When you step outside the mental box of this is how things are done. You give yourself permission to think creatively and forge your own path. Challenging your current mindset also involves confronting the stories you've told yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. These stories often come from past experiences. Perhaps you failed at something once and now believe that you're not good enough in that area, or you've been told by others that certain opportunities are out of your reach. Over time, these narratives become part of your internal dialogue, shaping your self-image and influencing your decisions. But these stories are not necessarily the truth, they're just interpretations of past events. And just as they were created, they can be rewritten. To challenge these limiting narratives, you must first become aware of them. Pay attention to the automatic thoughts that arise when you're faced with a challenge or when you consider pursuing something outside your comfort zone. Are you telling yourself that you're not capable, that you don't have the resources, or that it's not the right time? These thoughts are often rooted in fear, and while they may feel real, they are not facts. By questioning these thoughts and asking, is this really true, or is this just a story I've been telling myself, you begin to break down the mental barriers that have kept you confined. Another important aspect of challenging your mindset is embracing the idea that uncertainty is not something to be feared, but rather something to be explored. Many of us cling to certainty and predictability because it gives us a sense of control and security. We like to know what's going to happen next, how things will unfold, and what the outcomes will be. But life rarely offers such guarantees, and clinging to the need for certainty can prevent you from taking bold actions and pursuing your passions. Challenging your mindset means learning to get comfortable with not knowing, with taking risks, and with trusting that even in the face of uncertainty, you have the resilience and resourcefulness to navigate whatever comes your way. To truly challenge your mindset, you also have to be open to feedback and reflection. It's easy to get stuck in your own perspective, assuming that the way you see things is the way they are. But when you actively seek out feedback from others, whether it's in your personal life, your career, or your relationships, you gain valuable insights that can help you identify blind spots in your thinking. This doesn't mean that you have to take every piece of feedback at face value, but being open to hearing other viewpoints can help you see areas where your mindset might be limiting you. Reflection is equally important. Taking time to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and decisions allows you to identify patterns in your mindset that may no longer be serving you. For example, you might realize that you've been operating from a scarcity mindset, always worrying that there's not enough time, money, or opportunity. This mindset can lead to fear-based decisions, stress, and burnout. By challenging this mindset, you can shift toward an abundance mindset, one that recognizes the possibilities, resources, and opportunities available to you, and that encourages gratitude and trust in the process of life. Another key component of challenging your mindset is developing self-compassion. Often, we are our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to unrealistic standards and berating ourselves when we don't measure up. This critical inner voice can create a mindset of inadequacy, where nothing you do feels good enough and where failure feels like a personal flaw rather than a stepping stone toward growth. Challenging this mindset involves learning to speak to yourself with kindness, patience, and understanding. It means recognizing that growth is a process and that mistakes and setbacks are part of that journey. Change is one of the most profound constants in life, yet it often brings with it feelings of anxiety, uncertainty, and fear. Embracing change requires an act of courage and inner strength that compels you to move forward, despite the unknowns that lie ahead. It is this courage that acts as the catalyst for transformation, enabling you to confront your fears, challenge the status quo, and embark on the journey of personal growth. Understanding the nature of courage and how it plays a vital role in facilitating change is essential for anyone looking to evolve and thrive. At its core, courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the willingness to act in spite of it. Many people equate courage with boldness or bravery, but the truth is that it often manifests in subtle, quiet moments of decision-making. When faced with the prospect of change, it's natural to experience fear, fear of failure, fear of the unfamiliar, and fear of losing what you already have. However, those who can muster the courage to acknowledge their fears, to sit with them, and to proceed regardless are the ones who ultimately affect meaningful change in their lives. To begin, courage involves self-awareness, the ability to recognize your thoughts, emotions, and triggers when confronted with the idea of change. This self-awareness allows you to identify the specific fears that may be holding you back. For instance, you might fear judgment from others, or perhaps you worry about the potential consequences of stepping outside your comfort zone. By acknowledging these fears, you empower yourself to make conscious choices rather than reacting impulsively based on anxiety. Courage doesn't mean ignoring or dismissing fear, it means understanding it and choosing to move forward regardless. In the realm of change, taking the first step often requires a leap of faith. This leap is rooted in courage, the belief that what lies ahead, though uncertain, can lead to growth, fulfillment, and new opportunities. Consider the times in your life when you made a significant change. Whether it was starting a new job, moving to a different city, or pursuing a passion project, each of these moments likely required you to push through the discomfort of the unknown. That initial step may have felt daunting, but it was the courage to act that opened the door to new experiences and possibilities. Courage also fosters resilience, which is crucial during times of transition. Change is rarely linear. It often comes with setbacks, obstacles, and unexpected challenges. This is where courage shines. When you encounter difficulties, your willingness to persevere, to keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear, becomes essential. Resilience is not just about bouncing back, it's about navigating the ups and downs of change with determination and a sense of purpose. It's the understanding that each setback is a learning opportunity, a chance to refine your approach and strengthen your resolve. Moreover, embracing change with courage can lead to greater self-confidence. Each time you step outside your comfort zone and confront a fear, you build a reservoir of experiences that reinforce your ability to handle challenges. This accumulation of courage strengthens your belief in yourself, creating a positive feedback loop. You begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of facing difficulties head-on, and this self-perception becomes a powerful motivator for future actions. When you realize that you have the capacity to affect change, you become more open to taking risks and exploring new avenues in your life. Courage also cultivates authenticity. When you dare to embrace change, you are often forced to confront your true self, your values, desires, and aspirations. Many people live inauthentic lives, adhering to societal expectations or conforming to the beliefs of others. However, embracing change often means shedding these layers and stepping into your true identity. This journey requires courage, as it can lead to moments of vulnerability, introspection, and self-discovery. As you align your actions with your authentic self, you begin to create a life that is not only meaningful but also deeply fulfilling. Moreover, courage encourages connection and community. When you take the bold step to embrace change, you not only inspire yourself but also those around you. Your willingness to be vulnerable and to share your journey can motivate others to confront their own fears and pursue their aspirations. Building a community of support, whether it be friends, family, or colleagues, creates an environment where courage is nurtured and celebrated. When people come together to support one another in times of change, the journey becomes less isolating and the potential for growth is amplified. It's also important to recognize that change often requires a shift in perspective. Courage allows you to view challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and learning. This mindset shift can be transformative, as it enables you to approach change with curiosity rather than apprehension. Instead of fearing what might go wrong, you start to focus on what could go right, opening your mind to new possibilities and outcomes that you may not have previously considered. Taking courageous action often involves setting clear intentions for the change you wish to create in your life. Intentions serve as guiding principles that help you navigate the complexities of change. When you define your intentions, whether they relate to personal growth, career aspirations, or relationships, you create a framework for your journey. These intentions provide motivation and direction, reminding you of the deeper purpose behind your courageous actions. They help you stay grounded during turbulent times, allowing you to make choices that align with your values and long-term vision. Lastly, it's vital to understand that change is a process, not an event. Embracing change with courage means committing to the journey, recognizing that transformation takes time and persistence. There will be moments of doubt, fear, and hesitation along the way, but the key is to remain steadfast in your commitment to change. By cultivating courage as a foundational trait, you develop the resilience and determination needed to navigate the inevitable challenges that arise. Each small act of courage builds upon the last, creating a ripple effect in your life. You begin to see that change is not only possible, but also a natural part of existence. As you continue to challenge yourself and embrace new experiences, you create a life that is rich, vibrant, and aligned with your true self. In conclusion, the journey of change is one marked by the courage to face the unknown, the resilience to overcome challenges, and the authenticity to live in alignment with our true selves. Each key point explored emphasizes that change begins within us. It starts with the willingness to confront our fears and let go of limiting beliefs that hold us back. As we cultivate a mindset that embraces discomfort, challenges our current perspectives, and nurtures our curiosity, we pave the way for growth and transformation. By recognizing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to act in spite of it, we empower ourselves to take bold steps toward a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. This journey is not just about reaching a destination, it's about becoming the person we aspire to be along the way. As we support one another in our endeavors, we create a community that fosters resilience, connection, and shared growth. Ultimately, the power to change our lives lies in our hands. It is through embracing courage that we unlock the potential within us, enabling us to not only navigate the complexities of change, but to thrive amidst them. As we continue this journey together, let us carry forward the lessons learned and the courage gained, transforming our lives and the world around us, one step at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about the profound power of silence. In a world that constantly demands our attention and encourages us to respond, we often overlook the strength inherent in choosing silence. It may seem counterintuitive, but sometimes silence can be the most eloquent form of communication we possess. Vulnerability is often misunderstood in our fast-paced, achievement-driven world. Many of us view vulnerability as a weakness, something to be hidden or avoided at all costs. We are conditioned to believe that showing our true selves, our fears, insecurities, and emotions will make us appear fragile or unworthy. But I challenge that notion. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, rather. It is an incredible strength that allows us to connect deeply with ourselves and others. When we choose to embrace vulnerability, we open the door to authenticity. Authenticity means presenting ourselves as we truly are, without the masks we often wear to navigate daily life. In those moments of silence, when we confront our vulnerabilities, we begin to understand who we are at our core. We uncover the fears that hold us back and the dreams that drive us forward. This deep exploration requires courage, and it's in this courage that we find our strength. Consider this vulnerability as the birthplace of creativity, innovation, and growth. It's where ideas take root, nurtured by our willingness to express ourselves without fear of judgment. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we foster an environment where creativity can flourish. We give ourselves permission to explore new ideas, take risks, and challenge the status quo. This is not just about expressing our creative side, it's about being brave enough to pursue our passions, to fail, and to learn from those failures. Moreover, embracing vulnerability enhances our relationships. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with others, we invite them to do the same. This creates a profound sense of trust and connection, as both parties feel seen and accepted for who they truly are. It's in these vulnerable exchanges that we find the most meaningful connections. We can share our stories, our struggles, and our triumphs, fostering an environment of empathy and understanding. Silence plays a crucial role in this process. When we sit in silence, we give ourselves the opportunity to reflect on our vulnerabilities without the distractions of the outside world. This reflection helps us process our emotions and experiences, allowing us to articulate our thoughts more clearly when we finally choose to speak. In this way, silence becomes a powerful ally in our journey toward vulnerability. Let's not forget the strength that arises from sharing our vulnerabilities. When we express our fears or challenges, we often discover that we are not alone in our struggles. Others relate to our experiences and feel empowered to share their own stories. This shared vulnerability cultivates community and solidarity, reminding us that we are all human. It dismantles the facade of perfection we often feel pressured to maintain and allows us to embrace our shared humanity. To truly harness the strength of vulnerability, we must also be willing to accept the discomfort that comes with it. It can be scary to confront our insecurities or to share our true selves with others. However, it's in this discomfort that we find growth. Just as a muscle strengthens through resistance, our emotional resilience grows when we face our vulnerabilities head on. Each time we step into the discomfort, we expand our capacity for empathy, connection, and understanding. In conclusion, vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a powerful source of strength. When we embrace our vulnerabilities in silence, we embark on a journey of self-discovery, creativity, and authentic connection with others. It takes courage to be vulnerable, but the rewards are immeasurable. Let us redefine our understanding of vulnerability and recognize it as a vital part of our strength. In the silence of our hearts, let us find the bravery to be our true selves, for it is in this authenticity that we will ultimately thrive. In the whirlwind of our daily lives, it is all too easy to get caught up in the constant stream of tasks, responsibilities, and distractions that vie for our attention. We often move from one moment to the next without pausing to reflect on our thoughts, actions, and experiences. Yet reflection is a powerful practice that holds the key to personal growth, self-awareness, and profound transformation. In a society that celebrates busyness and immediacy, we must reclaim the time and space for thoughtful reflection. At its core, reflection is the process of looking back on our experiences and considering their significance. It's an invitation to slow down, to think deeply about what we have encountered, and to understand how these moments have shaped us. In silence, we find the opportunity to sift through our thoughts and feelings, creating a space where we can discern what matters most to us. This process helps us identify patterns in our behavior, recognize our strengths, and pinpoint areas for growth. When we engage in reflection, we develop a deeper understanding of ourselves. We can ask ourselves critical questions. What did I learn from this experience? How did it make me feel? What choices did I make, and what were their consequences? By taking the time to contemplate our actions and their outcomes, we gain valuable insights that can inform our future decisions. This self-awareness allows us to approach life with intention rather than simply reacting to circumstances. Reflection also cultivates emotional intelligence, a crucial skill in navigating the complexities of relationships in life. When we pause to reflect, we become more attuned to our emotions and how they influence our behavior. We can better recognize when we are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or joyful, allowing us to respond appropriately rather than react impulsively. This heightened emotional awareness enhances our ability to empathize with others, fostering deeper connections and understanding in our relationships. Moreover, reflection is essential for resilience. Life is filled with challenges, setbacks, and disappointments. In the face of adversity, it can be easy to feel defeated or lost. However, through the practice of reflection, we can extract valuable lessons from our struggles. Instead of viewing failures as dead ends, we can see them as stepping stones to growth. Reflection allows us to analyze what went wrong, what we could have done differently, and how we can use that knowledge to move forward. This mindset shift fosters resilience, empowering us to bounce back from setbacks with renewed strength and determination. In our silent moments of reflection, we also gain clarity on our values and aspirations. It is easy to become disconnected from our true desires amid the noise of societal expectations and external pressures. By creating space for reflection, we can reconnect with what genuinely matters to us. What are our passions? What legacy do we wish to leave behind? What does success look like for us personally? When we reflect on these questions, we align our actions with our values, allowing us to live more authentically and purposefully. Silence enhances the power of reflection. In a quiet environment, we can tune out distractions and turn our focus inward. This solitude gives us the freedom to explore our thoughts and feelings without judgment or interruption. As we sit in silence, we may discover insights that we would have otherwise missed in the chaos of everyday life. This sacred time of reflection can lead to revelations, new perspectives, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our journeys. Furthermore, reflection is not solely an individual practice, it can also be a shared experience. Engaging in reflective conversations with trusted friends, mentors, or colleagues can deepen our insights and broaden our perspectives. By discussing our reflections with others, we gain new viewpoints that can enhance our understanding of ourselves and our experiences. This collaborative approach to reflection creates a sense of community and support, reminding us that we are not alone in our journeys. In conclusion, the power of reflection lies in its ability to transform our lives. Through the act of reflection, we cultivate self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. We connect with our values and aspirations, allowing us to live more authentically and intentionally. In the silence we create for reflection, we unlock the potential for profound insights and growth. Let us embrace the power of reflection as a vital practice in our lives, for it is in these moments of contemplation that we find clarity, purpose, and the strength to navigate our paths with confidence. In our fast-paced and often self-focused world, the art of creating space for others is a practice that can profoundly transform our relationships and communities. When we intentionally cultivate an environment where others feel seen, heard, and valued, we foster genuine connections that enrich our lives. This act of creating space requires us to step back, listen deeply, and allow others to share their thoughts and feelings without interruption or judgment. Creating space for others begins with the fundamental practice of active listening. Many of us find ourselves so eager to contribute to a conversation that we overlook the importance of truly hearing what others have to say. Active listening involves more than just waiting for our turn to speak. It means being fully present in the moment, engaging with the speaker, and demonstrating our genuine interest in their perspective. This attentiveness creates an atmosphere of trust where individuals feel empowered to express their thoughts and emotions freely. In silence, we often discover the power of pauses. When we allow for moments of quiet in our conversations, we give others the opportunity to gather their thoughts and articulate their feelings. These pauses can be uncomfortable, especially in a culture that prizes immediacy and quick responses. However, it is precisely in these silent intervals that deeper understanding can emerge. The courage to be comfortable with silence signals to others that we value their input and are willing to create a space for them to share. Furthermore, creating space for others requires us to be aware of our own biases and assumptions. Each person we encounter comes from a unique background with their own experiences, struggles, and triumphs. By acknowledging our preconceived notions and being open to diverse perspectives, we create an inclusive environment where everyone feels welcome to contribute. This practice is essential for fostering empathy and understanding as it encourages us to look beyond our own experiences and appreciate the richness of other stories. And in this process, vulnerability plays a crucial role. When we create space for others, we must be willing to share our own vulnerabilities as well. This reciprocity establishes a mutual connection where individuals feel comfortable revealing their true selves. By modeling vulnerability, we invite others to do the same, leading to deeper and more meaningful conversations. It is through this sharing of our authentic selves that we can truly connect and create a sense of belonging. Creating space for others also involves practicing patience. In our eagerness to solve problems or provide solutions, we may inadvertently rush others in their expression. It is important to remember that everyone processes their thoughts and emotions at their own pace. By exercising patience and allowing others the time they need to articulate their feelings, we demonstrate respect for their experiences. This patience fosters a safe environment, encouraging individuals to delve deeper into their emotions and share more openly. Let's not overlook the impact of nonverbal communication in creating space for others. Our body language, facial expressions, and even our presence can convey openness and receptivity. When we lean in, maintain eye contact, and offer encouraging gestures, we signal to others that we are fully engaged and invested in their words. These subtle cues reinforce the message that their voice matters, reinforcing the space we create for them to express themselves. Additionally, creating space for others fosters collaboration and teamwork. In settings where ideas and input are freely shared, creativity thrives. When individuals feel safe to contribute their thoughts, the collective intelligence of the group expands. This collaborative spirit not only enhances problem solving, but also strengthens relationships among team members. When people feel that their contributions are valued, they are more likely to invest their time and energy into the success of the group. Ultimately, creating space for others is about recognizing the inherent worth of every individual. Each person brings unique gifts, perspectives, and experiences that enrich our lives. By intentionally cultivating an environment that honors and celebrates these differences, we foster a culture of respect and understanding. This is not just a responsibility, it is a privilege. It allows us to build bridges, create connections, and cultivate a sense of community that transcends individual differences. In conclusion, creating space for others is a powerful practice that transforms our relationships and communities. By actively listening, embracing vulnerability, exercising patience, and fostering collaboration, we cultivate an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered. In the moments of silence that we create, we allow the voices of others to rise, enriching our collective experience. Let us commit to the practice of creating space for one another, for it is through these connections that we find strength, understanding, and belonging. Together, we can build a world where everyone feels heard, respected, and valued. Conflict is an inevitable part of human interaction. It arises in our personal relationships, workplaces, and communities. While many view conflict as a negative force, it can also serve as a catalyst for growth, understanding, and positive change. The key to transforming conflict into an opportunity lies in our approach, specifically in how we navigate these challenges with grace. At its core, conflict arises from differing perspectives, values, or interests. When we find ourselves in a conflict, it's crucial to recognize that our initial emotional response can often cloud our judgment. Our instincts may push us to defend our position, react with anger, or withdraw entirely. However, navigating conflict with grace requires us to pause, breathe, and reflect before we react. By taking a moment to collect our thoughts, we allow ourselves the opportunity to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Emotional awareness is a fundamental aspect of gracefully navigating conflict. When we become attuned to our emotions, we can better understand how they influence our reactions and decisions. In the heat of a disagreement, it's essential to recognize what we are feeling, whether it's frustration, hurt, or fear. By naming our emotions, we can gain clarity on our triggers and motivations, which empowers us to engage more constructively in the conversation. Additionally, acknowledging the emotions of others is equally vital. When we validate the feelings of those involved in the conflict, we create an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. Active listening is another crucial component of navigating conflict with grace. Often during disagreements, we focus on formulating our responses rather than truly listening to the other person's perspective. To foster an environment conducive to resolution, we must prioritize active listening. This means fully engaging with the speaker, asking clarifying questions, and paraphrasing what we've heard to ensure understanding. By demonstrating that we value the other person's perspective, we encourage open dialogue and foster trust. Creating a safe space for open communication is fundamental when navigating conflict. We must establish an environment where everyone feels comfortable expressing their thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment or retaliation. This requires cultivating an atmosphere of respect, empathy, and vulnerability. Encouraging the use of I statements instead of you statements can help reduce defensiveness. For example, saying, "I feel hurt," when rather than "you always make me feel." Shifts the focus from blame to personal experience, inviting collaboration rather than confrontation. As we navigate conflict, it is essential to approach the situation with a mindset of curiosity and a willingness to understand. Rather than seeking to win the argument or prove ourselves right, we can reframe our perspective to one of exploration. What are the underlying interests or needs driving the conflict? What solutions can we brainstorm together that honor both parties? This collaborative approach not only paves the way for resolution, but also fosters a sense of partnership and connection, reinforcing the idea that we are on the same team, even in disagreement. Graceful navigation of conflict also involves embracing the idea that imperfection is a part of the process. We are all human and mistakes will happen. Instead of striving for a flawless resolution, we should aim for authenticity. This means acknowledging our own shortcomings, being willing to apologize when necessary, and embracing the opportunity to learn and grow from the experience. By modeling humility and vulnerability, we set the tone for a constructive dialogue, encouraging others to do the same. In addition, focusing on common goals can help bridge the divide during conflicts. When tensions run high, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. Identifying shared objectives or values can redirect the conversation toward collaboration rather than competition. By reminding ourselves of what we are ultimately striving for, we can unite our efforts and work toward a resolution that satisfies everyone's needs. After navigating through the immediate conflict, it's beneficial to take time for reflection. What did we learn from this experience? How can we apply these lessons to future interactions? Reflecting on conflicts can help us grow emotionally and relationally, allowing us to approach similar situations with newfound insight and resilience. Moreover, it's essential to acknowledge that not all conflicts will resolve neatly. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, disagreements may persist. It's crucial to recognize when to let go of the need for immediate resolution. Giving ourselves and others the grace to step back, regroup, and return to the conversation later can facilitate healthier dialogue in the long run. Time apart allows emotions to settle and perspectives to shift, creating a fresh lens through which to view the situation. In conclusion, navigating conflict with grace is an invaluable skill that enriches our relationships and strengthens our communities. By cultivating emotional awareness, practicing active listening, and creating a safe space for dialogue, we transform conflict from a source of division into an opportunity for connection. Approaching disagreements with curiosity, humility, and a focus on common goals empowers us to seek collaborative solutions that honor everyone involved. In the journey of conflict, let us remember that grace is not about perfection. It is about authenticity, empathy, and the willingness to grow together through our challenges. Embracing this mindset allows us to navigate conflict not just as a challenge, but as a path to deeper understanding, stronger relationships, and a more harmonious existence. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, the quest for inner peace becomes not only a personal journey, but also a collective necessity. Inner peace is not merely the absence of conflict or stress. It is a profound sense of tranquility, balance, and contentment that resides within us. It serves as a foundation from which we can navigate life's challenges, cultivate healthy relationships, and embrace our authentic selves. The pursuit of inner peace requires intentional effort and a commitment to self-discovery. To embark on this journey, we must first cultivate self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment. It involves understanding the triggers that disrupt our peace and the patterns that keep us stuck in cycles of stress or negativity. By taking the time to reflect on our experiences and motivations, we can identify the root causes of our discontent and work toward addressing them. Journaling, meditation, or simply engaging in quiet contemplation can facilitate this process, helping us uncover the layers of our inner world. As we develop self-awareness, we must also learn to embrace acceptance. Acceptance is the recognition that life is inherently unpredictable and that we cannot control every outcome. It is about letting go of our resistance to what is and allowing ourselves to experience life as it unfolds. When we practice acceptance, we release the burden of perfectionism and the anxiety of trying to control every aspect of our lives. This shift in mindset creates space for peace to flourish, allowing us to approach challenges with a sense of equanimity rather than fear or frustration. Mindfulness is another powerful tool in our pursuit of inner peace. Mindfulness involves being fully present in the moment, observing our thoughts and feelings without attachment or judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we can detach from the incessant chatter of our minds and become more aware of the beauty and simplicity of the present moment. This practice can be as simple as focusing on our breath, engaging in mindful eating, or taking a leisurely walk in nature. By anchoring ourselves in the present, we cultivate a sense of calm that transcends external circumstances. Finding inner peace also necessitates establishing healthy boundaries. Often, our sense of peace is compromised by the demands and expectations of others. We may find ourselves saying yes when we truly want to say no, or we may become overwhelmed by the needs of those around us. Setting boundaries allows us to protect our energy and prioritize our well-being. This can involve learning to communicate our needs clearly and assertively, recognizing that it is okay to prioritize ourselves without guilt. When we honor our boundaries, we create an environment conducive to inner peace, allowing us to invest our time and energy in what truly matters. Additionally, we must be mindful of the narratives we tell ourselves. Our inner dialogue plays a significant role in shaping our experience of the world. Negative self-talk, self-doubt, and limiting beliefs can cloud our perception and erode our inner peace. To counteract this, we can practice self-compassion, treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend. By reframing our thoughts and focusing on our strengths, we cultivate a positive mindset that nurtures our inner peace. Connection to something greater than ourselves can also provide a profound sense of inner peace. Whether through spirituality, nature, or community, finding ways to connect with the world around us can ground us and help us realize that we are part of something larger. This connection can serve as a reminder that our struggles are a shared human experience, fostering compassion and understanding for ourselves and others. Engaging in practices such as prayer, meditation, or spending time in nature can deepen this sense of connection, providing solace in times of turmoil. Creating a peaceful environment in our physical spaces is another important aspect of finding inner peace. Our surroundings can significantly influence our mental and emotional state. Decluttering our spaces, surrounding ourselves with items that bring us joy, and incorporating elements of nature can create a calming atmosphere that promotes tranquility. Simple changes, such as lighting a candle, playing soothing music, or arranging fresh flowers, can have a powerful impact on our sense of well-being. Additionally, we should not underestimate the importance of self-care in our journey toward inner peace. Self-care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It involves engaging in activities that nourish our bodies, minds, and souls. This may include physical exercise, healthy eating, creative expression, or simply taking time to rest and recharge. By prioritizing self-care, we signal to ourselves that our well-being is important, fostering a deeper sense of inner peace and fulfillment. It is also essential to acknowledge that finding inner peace is an ongoing journey. Life will inevitably present challenges, and our sense of peace may waver in the face of adversity. However, the practices we cultivate along the way equip us with the tools to navigate these challenges with grace. When we encounter moments of stress or uncertainty, we can draw upon our self-awareness, mindfulness, and acceptance to restore our inner balance. Furthermore, surrounding ourselves with supportive relationships can enhance our journey toward inner peace. Positive connections with others can provide encouragement, love, and understanding, creating a network of support that reinforces our efforts to cultivate peace within ourselves. Engaging in meaningful conversations, sharing our experiences, and offering support to others can foster a sense of community and belonging that nourishes our souls. In conclusion, finding inner peace is a transformative journey that requires intentionality, self-reflection, and commitment. By cultivating self-awareness, practicing acceptance, embracing mindfulness, and establishing healthy boundaries, we can create the conditions necessary for inner peace to thrive. It is a journey that invites us to connect with ourselves, our surroundings, and the world at large. As we navigate the challenges of life, let us remember that inner peace is not a destination, but a way of being. It is a choice we make every day, a practice we cultivate, and a gift we give to ourselves and those around us. By committing to this journey, we empower ourselves to face life with resilience, compassion, and unwavering grace. Mindful communication is an essential skill that fosters deeper connections, enhances understanding, and cultivates a sense of belonging in our relationships. In a world saturated with distractions and constant noise, the ability to communicate mindfully is more important than ever. It requires us to be present, intentional, and compassionate in our interactions with others, transforming the way we engage in conversations and strengthening our relationships. At its core, mindful communication begins with active listening. Often we approach conversations with the intent to respond rather than to truly hear what the other person is saying. Active listening involves fully engaging with the speaker, maintaining eye contact, and demonstrating genuine interest in their words. It means setting aside our own thoughts, judgments, and distractions to focus entirely on the speaker's message. By practicing active listening, we create a space where the other person feels valued and understood, fostering an environment conducive to open dialogue. To enhance our active listening skills, we can employ techniques such as reflecting and paraphrasing. After the speaker has shared their thoughts, we can summarize what we've heard and reflect it back to them. This not only demonstrates that we are engaged, but also provides an opportunity for clarification. For instance, saying, "What I hear you saying," invites the speaker to confirm or correct our understanding. This practice not only deepens our comprehension, but also encourages the speaker to feel heard, establishing a foundation of trust and respect. Mindful communication also requires us to be aware of our body language and nonverbal cues. Our posture, facial expressions, and tone of voice convey messages beyond our spoken words. Being mindful of these signals can enhance our communication by ensuring that our nonverbal cues align with our verbal messages. For example, maintaining an open posture and a warm tone can create a welcoming environment, while crossed arms and a curt tone may signal defensiveness or disinterest. By harmonizing our body language with our words, we reinforce our messages and foster a sense of connection. Another critical aspect of mindful communication is emotional awareness. Being in tune with our own emotions allows us to navigate conversations with clarity and intention. Before entering a discussion, we should take a moment to check in with ourselves. What am I feeling? How might my emotions influence this conversation? This self-awareness enables us to approach discussions from a place of understanding rather than reacting impulsively. Additionally, being mindful of the emotions of others enriches our communication. Recognizing when someone is upset, anxious, or excited allows us to respond with empathy, creating a more supportive dialogue. Empathy plays a vital role in mindful communication. It is the ability to put ourselves in another person's shoes and understand their feelings and perspectives. Practicing empathy involves not only listening, but also acknowledging the emotions that the other person is experiencing. For instance, if someone shares their frustrations, responding with empathy might sound like, "I can see that this situation is really challenging for you." This validation creates a sense of safety and encourages the speaker to share more openly. When we communicate empathetically, we reinforce the bonds of connection and understanding between ourselves and others. Furthermore, mindful communication invites us to approach discussions with a sense of curiosity. Instead of jumping to conclusions or making assumptions about the other person's intentions, we can ask open-ended questions that encourage exploration and dialogue. Questions such as, "Can you tell me more about that?" or "What led you to feel that way?" invite deeper conversation and demonstrate our genuine interest in understanding the other person's perspective. This curiosity fosters a collaborative spirit, allowing us to navigate even challenging discussions with grace. In addition, clarity and honesty are essential components of mindful communication. When we express ourselves clearly and honestly, we reduce the likelihood of misunderstandings and misinterpretations. It is essential to articulate our thoughts and feelings in a way that is respectful and constructive. This may involve using I statements to express our needs and emotions without placing blame. For example, saying, "I feel overwhelmed," when there is a lack of communication. Rather than "You never tell me what's going on," conveys our experience without casting judgment on the other person. This approach encourages constructive dialogue and fosters a sense of shared responsibility for the communication process. Patience is another vital element of mindful communication. In our fast-paced world, we often feel rushed to respond, leading to superficial conversations. By cultivating patience, we allow ourselves the time and space to truly process what is being said before we reply. This practice not only enhances the quality of our communication, but also demonstrates respect for the other person's thoughts and feelings. Taking a breath before responding or pausing for a moment of reflection can lead to more thoughtful and meaningful exchanges. Additionally, being mindful of the context of our conversations is crucial. The environment in which we communicate can significantly impact the quality of our interactions. Choosing a quiet, comfortable space can create an atmosphere conducive to open dialogue, while a noisy or chaotic environment may lead to misunderstandings. Similarly, being mindful of timing is important. Addressing sensitive topics when emotions are higher during stressful moments may not yield the best results. By being attuned to the context of our conversations, we create a more supportive environment for communication. Lastly, practicing gratitude within our conversations can elevate the quality of our interactions. Expressing appreciation for the other person's insights or experiences fosters a positive atmosphere and reinforces our connection. A simple "Thank you for sharing that with me" can go a long way in affirming the value of the conversation. By cultivating an attitude of gratitude, we encourage a reciprocal exchange that nurtures our relationships and enhances our overall well-being. Through these practices, we can transform our communication into an art form, one that is characterized by presence, empathy, and understanding. Mindful communication allows us to navigate the complexities of human interaction with grace and authenticity. It invites us to deepen our connections, foster understanding, and create a sense of belonging in our relationships. In a world that often feels fragmented, the art of mindful communication offers us a path to reconnect with ourselves and others, enriching our lives and nurturing our souls. In conclusion, the journey toward mindful communication is not merely about exchanging words, it's about creating genuine connections and fostering understanding in our relationships. By embracing the principles of active listening, emotional awareness, empathy, and patience, we can transform our interactions into opportunities for growth and connection. As we navigate the complexities of human relationships, let us remember the power of silence, reflection, and presence. Silence allows us to pause, reflect, and create space for deeper understanding. Through mindful communication, we cultivate an environment where every voice is valued and every emotion acknowledged. This practice not only enriches our relationships, but also nurtures our own sense of self-awareness and inner peace. Ultimately, the art of mindful communication is a profound expression of our humanity. It invites us to engage with one another authentically and compassionately, fostering a world where understanding and connection thrive. As we commit to this journey, let us embrace the transformative power of mindful communication, knowing that it holds the potential to heal, uplift, and inspire both ourselves and those around us. I want to start by talking about a very important lesson we often overlook in relationships: the power of wholehearted love. We live in a world that encourages us to hustle, to do more, to be more. We are taught that to be worthy of love, we must achieve, we must constantly give, and we must somehow prove our worthiness. But the truth is, love isn't about proving anything. It's about being seen, being known, and being loved for who we truly are. You see, many of us settle for half love. We settle for relationships that only take up half of our hearts, half of our energy, and half of our capacity for joy. We may not even realize we are doing it until we're drained, disconnected, or feeling empty. We give so much of ourselves to relationships that only take half of us, leaving us wondering why we feel incomplete, misunderstood, or alone. But here's the truth: you are worthy of wholehearted love. Not the kind that asks you to compromise your soul or hide your truth. Not the kind that only shows up when it's convenient. And certainly not the kind that keeps you in a cycle of emotional half measures where you're giving all but receiving only in bits and pieces. Wholeheartedness is more than just a buzzword, it's the essence of living authentically. It's about showing up in the world as you are, without the masks, without the filters, without the need to hide parts of yourself. It's the act of being completely present, of offering your full self to the world and to those around you in all your vulnerability, strength, flaws, and beauty. In relationships, this means embracing your true self, flaws and all, and not trying to conform to someone else's idea of who you should be. Wholehearted love is love that is given and received freely, without expectations, manipulation, or fear. It's the kind of love that accepts and appreciates you in your entirety, not just for the pieces that are easy to love, but for the parts that are messy, complicated, and imperfect. It's the realization that you are worthy of love, not because you've earned it through perfection or achievement, but because you are inherently valuable. The power of wholeheartedness lies in its ability to create genuine connection. When you love wholeheartedly, you invite others to do the same. You create a space where real intimacy can flourish, where vulnerability is welcomed, and where the fear of rejection doesn't hold power over you. It's in this space of wholeheartedness that we begin to experience true emotional safety, trust, and connection. When we hold back pieces of ourselves in relationships, when we love only halfway or only allow ourselves to be seen in parts, we deny both ourselves and others the chance to experience the full spectrum of love. Think about it, how can you fully experience the joy and depth of love if you are constantly hiding? How can love truly blossom if you only show up when it's convenient, when you're feeling your best, or when you think you're deserving? Wholeheartedness asks for vulnerability. It asks for you to show up when it feels messy, when you're unsure, and when you're afraid of being hurt. This is not to say that love should be reckless or that you should throw yourself into relationships without boundaries, but it does mean that love, in its truest form, requires you to take risks. To be willing to trust not just in the love you give, but in the love that is given to you. In practical terms, wholeheartedness means being honest about what you need. It's about being able to say, this is who I am, and this is what I want from this relationship without apologizing for your desires or your needs. It means communicating openly without fear of judgment and trusting that the right people will embrace the fullness of who you are. It also means acknowledging that you are worthy of receiving the same kind of love that you give. Too often, we're taught that loving others means giving until we have nothing left, believing that we must sacrifice our own well-being for the sake of others. But wholehearted love operates differently. It is reciprocal. It is a give and take that feeds both parties, allowing both people to grow, to evolve, and to rise together. When you love with your whole heart, you trust that the people around you will meet you at the same level of authenticity and openness. And when they don't, you recognize that it's okay to walk away. Wholeheartedness is also about letting go of perfectionism. So often we hold ourselves back in love because we think we have to be perfect before we can give all of ourselves. We wait until we feel good enough or until we've figured everything out. But the truth is, love is messy, it's imperfect, it's raw, and it's beautiful precisely because of that. Wholehearted love isn't about waiting for the perfect moment or being the perfect partner. It's about showing up as you are, flaws and all, and trusting that you are enough. When you embrace wholeheartedness, you begin to experience a deeper sense of freedom and joy. You stop questioning whether you are worthy of love, and instead, you begin to understand that love is not a reward for being perfect, but a natural result of being fully seen and fully loved for who you truly are. You stop hiding your truth, and in doing so, you create deeper, more authentic relationships. Wholeheartedness is a practice. It's not something you achieve overnight. It's something you build layer by layer in every relationship and in every interaction. It's about learning to trust yourself, to trust others, and to trust the process of love itself. And the more you practice it, the more you'll find that love becomes a natural, effortless extension of who you are. In the end, wholehearted love is about acceptance, not just of others, but of yourself. It's about being at peace with your flaws, your imperfections, and your humanity. It's about knowing that you are deserving of love, not because you've earned it, but because it is your birthright as a human being. So I ask you to reflect on this. Are you willing to love with your whole heart? Are you willing to show up, to be seen, to be vulnerable, and to let go of the need to be perfect? The power of wholeheartedness is immense. It allows us to build relationships that are not based on fear or scarcity, but on trust, abundance, and love. When you love wholeheartedly, you create the space for others to do the same. And when both parties are willing to give all of themselves, that is when real love, real connection, and real transformation begin to unfold. This is the power of wholeheartedness. It's not just about love, it's about how we choose to live, to give, and to receive. When we recognize the power of wholeheartedness, we unlock the deepest, truest parts of ourselves, and we open the door to love that can truly transform our lives. One of the most painful things we can do in relationships is settle for half love. Half love is a love that is given conditionally, a love that exists only when it's convenient, a love that exists only when it's convenient, a love that asks you to hide parts of yourself, or worse, love that isn't truly love at all. It's the kind of love that leaves you feeling incomplete, unsure, constantly striving for more, but never fully satisfied. The problem with half love is that it's never enough. It's a love that comes with strings attached. It's a love that demands you change who you are in order to be accepted. It's a love that you have to constantly earn, but even when you give your all, it still feels like it's not enough. Half love will never fill you up. It will only drain you, leaving you questioning your worth, your value, and whether you'll ever experience the full, complete love that you deserve. But here's the truth: you do not have to settle for half love. You are deserving of the wholehearted, unconditional, full love that fills your spirit, nourishes your soul, and empowers you to become the best version of yourself. Love is not supposed to make you feel small, unseen, or incomplete. It should lift you up, make you feel heard, and remind you of your worth, not just in the good times, but in the bad times too. Half love often comes from a place of fear, fear of vulnerability, fear of being rejected, or fear of not being good enough. We've all been there. We've all allowed ourselves to stay in relationships where we gave more than we received, where we kept showing up, loving with all our hearts, but never getting the same in return. We convince ourselves that maybe we're just not deserving enough, or maybe we can fix the relationship if we try harder. But the truth is, love should never feel like an endless effort with no return. Half love is also tied to the belief that we can only love parts of ourselves. We often allow ourselves to love only the versions of us that are deemed worthy or acceptable by others, or the ones that fit into someone else's expectations. We hide parts of ourselves because we fear that those parts aren't good enough or worthy of being loved. But the truth is that real love, the kind of love that nourishes, heals, and grows, is the love that accepts every single part of you. It's the love that sees you at your best and at your worst and chooses to love you anyway. It doesn't pick and choose what to love about you. It sees you as a whole person, embracing all of you, the beautiful, the messy, and the broken. Now, I know that stepping away from half love isn't easy. We often fear being alone, so we hold on to relationships that don't serve us, hoping that something will change. But I want to ask you this: what would it feel like to let go of that relationship? What would it feel like to stop settling for half love and begin to demand the full, abundant love that you deserve? Letting go of half love means letting go of fear. It means letting go of the fear that you won't find anyone else who loves you. The fear that you'll be alone forever, or the fear that you're not worthy of something better. But here's what I want you to realize: settling for half love is not just about staying in unhealthy relationships. It's also about not giving yourself the full love that you deserve. It's about how you love yourself too. Do you accept yourself fully with all your flaws and imperfections? Do you hold space for your own growth, your own mistakes, and your own healing? If not, how can you expect others to give you the love you seek? When we stop settling for half love, we start to recognize our own value. We begin to honor ourselves, set boundaries, and demand relationships that nourish us, not drain us. We learn that we are worthy of love that is not conditional, love that doesn't ask us to change who we are or hide parts of ourselves. We start to see that love is not something we have to earn or prove through constant giving. True love, whole love, is something we deserve simply because we exist. Letting go of half love also means being patient with yourself. We live in a world that often encourages us to rush into relationships, to constantly search for love, or to feel pressured by society's timeline. But I want to remind you that the best relationships that are built on trust, respect, and mutual love take time to grow. You don't have to rush into anything. You don't have to settle for something that doesn't feel right just because you feel lonely or pressured. The right love will come, and it will come when you are ready to receive it fully. So stop settling for half love. Stop allowing yourself to be in relationships where you're not treated as the whole, complete person you are. Stop thinking that you are only worthy of love when you're perfect or when you meet someone else's expectations. You deserve a love that is expansive, nurturing, and completely accepting. You deserve a love that allows you to show up as your true, authentic self without fear, without shame, and without hesitation. When you stop settling for half love, you open the door to a whole new world of possibilities. You begin to attract relationships that are healthy, balanced, and fulfilling. You create space for love that is equal, where both people contribute, grow, and rise together. Remember, love is not meant to feel like a constant battle. It should not feel like you're constantly striving for validation, constantly giving more than you receive. You are not here to pour from an empty cup. When you stop settling for half love, you start to realize your worth. And the right people will start to show up, ready to offer you the love you deserve, full, whole, and unbreakable. So today I encourage you to look at your relationships, both with others and with yourself, and ask, am I settling for half love? And if you are, it's time to stop. You are worthy of the fullness of love, and the world needs the fullness of you. It's time to stop giving yourself away in pieces. It's time to stop accepting anything less than the love you deserve. You are worthy of whole love. Embrace it. Love. It's a word we all hear frequently, a word we all long for, yet in many ways it is often misunderstood. We talk about love as if it's one singular universal experience, but the truth is that love is multifaceted, complex, and can look vastly different depending on where it's coming from. Sometimes what we believe is love is merely attachment, a bond that can feel intense and consuming, but is rooted in need and insecurity. Attachment and real love may seem like two sides of the same coin, but they are far from being synonymous. The difference between attachment and real love can be subtle, but is profoundly significant. Understanding this difference can transform your relationships and your emotional well-being. Let's break it down and explore how attachment and love are not the same, and how recognizing these differences can lead you to healthier, more fulfilling connections. What is attachment? Attachment at its core is a psychological and emotional bond that is driven by a need for security and validation. It often stems from fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, or fear of abandonment. Attachment is born out of our human need for safety, comfort, and stability. It can feel like love, but it is often based on dependency rather than a genuine connection. When we are attached to someone, we typically feel as though we cannot live without them, and we often seek their approval, attention, and affection to feel whole. Attachment is rooted in the desire to fill an internal void or to soothe an insecurity. It's a bond that can arise out of our own unresolved issues or unhealed wounds from childhood or past relationships. Attachment can often be selfish, driven by the idea that I need you to feel good about myself. It's the constant need to be reassured, the tendency to stay in relationships because we are afraid of being alone, even when those relationships are unhealthy. When we are attached to someone, we are often looking to them to fulfill our unmet needs, and this creates a power imbalance. Attachment causes us to look for love in someone else, as if the other person holds the key to our happiness, security, or sense of self-worth. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Attachment is a natural human instinct, and it can be comforting. But when attachment becomes our primary mode of relating, we end up in a cycle of emotional dependence and unhealthy dynamics. One of the most critical things to understand about attachment is that it often doesn't allow for true growth. It keeps us stuck in patterns of dependence where we cannot fully be ourselves, and our identity becomes enmeshed with the other person. Attachment thrives on the idea of neediness. We feel like we need the other person to feel complete or validated. What is real love? Real love, on the other hand, is vastly different. True love is grounded in freedom, trust, and mutual respect. It is a bond that allows both individuals to flourish as their authentic selves. Real love is unconditional. It doesn't depend on what the other person can do for us, nor does it rely on receiving constant validation or approval. Real love allows each person to be whole without the need to fix each other or live up to unrealistic expectations. Love in its truest form is empowering, not draining. It is liberating, not controlling. Real love is a partnership between two people who support each other's growth, dreams, and individuality. It's a love that understands and accepts differences without judgment. Real love is not born from need, but from choice. It's a commitment to be there for each other, not because you need the other person to complete you, but because you want to build a life together, one that supports both of your dreams, aspirations, and well-being. In real love, both partners feel safe to be vulnerable. There's no fear of judgment, no fear of abandonment, because both people are grounded in their own sense of worth. Real love is about giving and receiving without keeping score. There is a sense of security in knowing that your partner's love for you is not based on what you can give them, but on who you are as a person. This love doesn't seek to control or possess, but to nurture, honor, and uplift. Real love allows each person to maintain their own identity. It's a connection that doesn't suffocate, but celebrates the individuality of each partner. It's about mutual respect, where both people feel valued, heard, and understood. There's no need to seek constant reassurance or cling to the other person out of fear. There's room for both partners to grow both together and separately. Key differences between attachment and real love. 1, the source of connection. Attachment stems from need. When we feel an internal void or fear of being alone, we attach ourselves to someone to fill that gap. Real love, however, is grounded in a healthy, secure connection where both people feel free to be themselves. Love is about choosing to be with someone not out of fear or dependence, but out of mutual respect and admiration. 2, the nature of dependence. Attachment often creates emotional dependence. You may feel like you need the other person in order to be happy, to feel validated, or to feel whole. In real love, there is no emotional dependence. You love each other deeply, but you both maintain your own sense of identity and independence. You don't need the other person to feel complete, but you choose to share your life together because it enhances both of your lives. 3, vulnerability and growth. Attachment can hinder vulnerability because it is often based on fear of rejection or abandonment. This fear causes us to hide parts of ourselves or try to be someone we're not in order to keep the relationship intact. Real love, in contrast, encourages vulnerability. You are free to show up as your authentic self, knowing that your partner will love you, flaws and all. True love supports growth, both individually and as a couple. 4, the desire for control vs. freedom. Attachment tends to breed control. We become afraid of losing the other person and try to control the relationship, the behavior, or the emotions of the other person to keep them close. Love, however, is about freedom. It's about giving your partner the space to be who they are, to make their own decisions, and to live their own life. There's trust in real love, and that trust doesn't require control. 5, security in self vs. security in the other. When we are attached to someone, our security is often based on them, on their affection, approval, or presence. We may lose sight of our own self-worth or identity because our sense of security depends on the other person. In real love, security is based on self-worth. You know your value independent of the other person. While love brings comfort and support, it doesn't define who you are. You are whole on your own, and love is the bonus, not the foundation of your self-worth. Why understanding the difference matters. Understanding the difference between attachment and love is essential for creating healthy relationships. Attachment can keep us in toxic cycles where we seek validation, control, or a false sense of security. It leads to codependency, emotional manipulation, and unmet needs that ultimately leave us feeling unfulfilled. Real love, however, allows us to thrive. It encourages us to embrace our own uniqueness, to grow, and to support each other in becoming the best versions of ourselves. Recognizing the difference between the two can help us avoid settling for relationships that are built on need, fear, or insecurity, and instead choose relationships that are built on mutual respect, trust, and freedom. When we stop confusing attachment with love, we begin to experience the joy of true connection, one where we don't have to fix each other, but rather we can simply be with each other, appreciating and supporting one another in our shared journey. So take a moment to ask yourself, are you in a relationship based on attachment or real love? Are you seeking to fill a void, or are you embracing a partnership that honors both of you as whole, complete individuals? When we learn the difference between attachment and real love, we open ourselves to a deeper, more fulfilling experience of connection that nourishes our soul and allows us to thrive both as individuals and as partners. We hear it often, love yourself first. It's a phrase that sounds simple, but one that many of us struggle to truly understand and apply. We live in a world that constantly encourages us to care for others, to give, to sacrifice, and to put the needs of those around us before our own. While these are noble qualities, many of us forget the most important person to love and nurture is ourselves. But if you look closely, you'll realize that loving yourself isn't selfish. It's a necessity, a foundation for living a life of fulfillment, joy, and true connection with others. Loving yourself first is the cornerstone upon which everything else in your life is built. It's the secret to having healthy relationships, to feeling confident in who you are, and to achieving your goals and dreams. When you love yourself first, you are no longer dependent on others to validate your worth, to fill your emotional needs, or to make you feel whole. You become the source of your own love, and this creates a ripple effect that enhances every area of your life. Self-love is the key to emotional freedom. To love yourself is to recognize that you are worthy of happiness, peace, and fulfillment. It's about accepting yourself flaws, imperfections, mistakes, and all without judgment. Self-love means knowing that your value is inherent, not dependent on your achievements, appearance, or approval from others. It means that you honor yourself for who you are, not who others think you should be or who you think you should be to fit into society's standards. When you love yourself, you give yourself permission to feel all the emotions that make you human: joy, pain, anger, sadness, excitement. You don't suppress or ignore your feelings, you embrace them as part of your authentic experience. This emotional freedom is the foundation of a strong sense of self. It allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your highest good and gives you the strength to set boundaries with others in a healthy way. Too often, we allow external forces, whether it be societal expectations, cultural norms, or other people's opinions, to dictate how we feel about ourselves. The result is a lack of emotional security, self-doubt, and self-criticism. Loving yourself means removing these external influences from the equation and learning to trust your own judgment and intuition. When you love yourself, you are not seeking constant external validation or approval because you already recognize your worth. This self-awareness gives you the confidence to make bold choices, to step into your power, and to embrace the unique path that is yours and yours alone. Self-love transforms your relationships. We often hear that in order to love others, we must first love ourselves. But what does this really mean in practice? When you love yourself, you enter relationships from a place of wholeness, not need. And you stop relying on others to fill the gaps in your emotional well-being because you already feel complete and confident on your own. Many of us enter relationships seeking something: companionship, security, love, validation, but this approach can lead to dependency. We may unconsciously seek out relationships where we try to find in others what we haven't yet given to ourselves: acceptance, peace, and emotional fulfillment. This type of dynamic can create unhealthy codependent relationships where one or both parties are constantly seeking to be validated, nurtured, or saved. On the other hand, when you love yourself first, you are more capable of offering genuine love to others. You no longer expect your partner or friends to fix you because you are already whole. You are able to give love freely without fear of rejection or inadequacy. And you are able to receive love with open arms, knowing that you deserve it. This creates a healthier, more balanced dynamic in your relationships where both individuals are able to thrive independently while still sharing a deep and meaningful connection. Self-love also empowers you to set healthy boundaries. You no longer tolerate behavior that undermines your worth or compromises your well-being. You learn to walk away from situations or people that don't align with your values or who drain your energy. When you love yourself, you stop settling for toxic relationships because you know that your peace and happiness are too important to sacrifice for anyone or anything. In the end, loving yourself transforms not just the way you see yourself, but the way you interact with others. It sets the standard for how you allow others to treat you and how you treat them in return. Self-love leads to personal growth and success. Loving yourself is also a catalyst for growth and success. When you have self-love, you believe in your abilities and trust that you are capable of achieving your goals. You stop holding yourself back with limiting beliefs or self-doubt. Instead, you begin to embrace the possibility of success, knowing that you are worthy of reaching your full potential. Loving yourself means taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. It's prioritizing self-care, taking time for rest, and engaging in practices that nourish and replenish you. It means being kind to yourself, even when you make mistakes. Instead of criticizing yourself for your failures, you see them as learning experiences, as stepping stones on the way to success. When you love yourself, you stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own growth. You recognize that everyone has their own journey and that your path is unique to you. You stop measuring your worth by external markers like money, status, or popularity, and instead measure your success by your ability to remain true to yourself, to grow, and to contribute positively to the world. Loving yourself also means cultivating a growth mindset, a belief that you can improve, learn, and evolve no matter where you are in life. This mindset opens the door to limitless possibilities. You start to take risks, pursue your passions, and follow your dreams because you believe in your ability to create the life you desire. How to love yourself first. Loving yourself is a practice, a lifelong journey of self-awareness, acceptance, and kindness. Here are some ways to cultivate self-love. Practice self-awareness, spend time getting to know yourself. Reflect on your values, your strengths, and your passions. Acknowledge your flaws without judgment, and be aware of the areas in your life where you can grow. Self-awareness is the first step in accepting and loving yourself fully. Embrace your imperfections. No one is perfect. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and it's okay to make mistakes. Learn to embrace your imperfections and see them as part of your unique story. You are worthy of love, even when you're not perfect. Prioritize self-care. Take time to nurture your body, mind, and spirit. This could be through exercise, meditation, journaling, or simply resting. When you care for yourself, you send the message that you are worthy of love and care. Set boundaries. Loving yourself means knowing when to say no. Set clear boundaries with others so that you protect your energy and well-being. Don't feel guilty for putting yourself first. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially when things don't go as planned. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend, gently, with compassion and without judgment. Celebrate your wins. Take time to celebrate your achievements, no matter how big or small. Acknowledge your efforts and give yourself credit for your accomplishments. Recognizing your success is an important part of loving yourself. Let go of negative self-talk. Replace self-criticism with self-affirmation. Speak to yourself in ways that build you up, not tear you down. Remind yourself that you are worthy, capable, and deserving of all the good things life has to offer. The power of loving yourself first. The more you love yourself, the more you attract love and positivity into your life. When you honor yourself, you naturally begin to attract others who value you, support you, and appreciate you for who you truly are. By learning to love yourself first, you unlock the door to a life filled with joy, peace, and deep fulfillment. Remember, loving yourself is not about being perfect. It's about embracing your humanity and accepting that you are enough, just as you are. So make the commitment today to love yourself first. Give yourself the care, attention, and compassion you deserve, and watch how your life transforms. When you love yourself, everything else falls into place, and you become the best version of yourself, ready to share your love and light with the world. There's a certain power in knowing when to stay, and there is an even greater power in knowing when to walk away. Walking away doesn't mean giving up or admitting defeat. In fact, it often takes a tremendous amount of courage and wisdom to recognize when something is no longer serving you. It requires the ability to step back, assess the situation with clarity, and have the strength to make the decision to leave behind what no longer aligns with your well-being, your values, or your dreams. Knowing when to walk away is a form of self-respect, a declaration that you are no longer willing to settle for circumstances, relationships, or environments that drain your energy, hold you back, or prevent you from living the life you deserve. It's about choosing yourself over everything else, choosing your peace, your happiness, and your personal growth. But the question remains, how do you know when it's time to walk away? Recognizing the signs of unhealthy situations. Before you can know when to walk away, it's crucial to recognize the signs of unhealthy situations. Many of us stay in situations longer than we should because we become accustomed to them, or we feel guilty for leaving, or we tell ourselves that things will improve. But these rationalizations can keep us stuck in unhealthy cycles, preventing us from moving forward. There are many signs that something in your life isn't serving you anymore, whether it's a relationship, a job, a friendship, or a belief system. These signs often appear gradually, but if we pay attention, we'll notice that the red flags are there. One of the most obvious signs is emotional depletion. If a relationship or situation consistently leaves you feeling exhausted, drained, or overwhelmed, it's a sign that something is out of balance. When you are constantly giving more than you're receiving emotionally, mentally, or physically, you may feel like your energy is being siphoned away and your sense of self-worth is being eroded. Another indicator is if you've outgrown a situation. We evolve over time, our goals, dreams, and values change. What once felt fulfilling might no longer align with who you are today. If you feel stuck, stagnant, or uninspired, it may be time to consider whether the situation or relationship still fits into the person you are becoming. It's also important to pay attention to your gut feelings. Intuition is a powerful tool that we often ignore. If something feels off, even if you can't pinpoint why, trust your instincts. Your inner wisdom knows when something is wrong, and it will often whisper to you long before your mind catches up. Finally, if the situation is compromising your mental or physical health, whether it's due to stress, anxiety, toxic behavior, or simply a lack of personal fulfillment, it's a clear sign that it's time to walk away. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and when you're constantly sacrificing your well-being, you will eventually burn out. The courage to let go. One of the hardest things to do in life is to let go. We are creatures of habit, and we often find comfort in the familiar, even if it's no longer good for us. The idea of walking away can feel overwhelming because we fear the unknown, the loss, or the change. We fear that by letting go, we will lose something important or that we will not find something better. But the truth is, when we hold on to things that no longer serve us, whether it's a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or old beliefs that limit our potential, we are keeping ourselves stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. In order to grow, we must be willing to let go of the old in order to make space for the new. Letting go takes courage because it requires us to confront our fears and doubts head-on. It means accepting that what once was may no longer be, and that it's okay to move forward. Walking away isn't about quitting or admitting failure. It's about recognizing that you deserve better and taking the necessary steps to create a future that aligns with your true potential. When you find the courage to walk away, you free yourself to explore new opportunities, to discover new possibilities, and to step into a life that brings you joy, fulfillment, and peace. It's a bold act of self-love.